Chapter 3. A Deal. Music, slurred singing, and the sounds of glasses clanking together flood the tavern known as Cold Iron. I haven't been here very long, just long enough to find myself a seat at the bar, grab a drink, and stir up a conversation with the guy next to me. I love these little taverns. There's something magical about them.
So, how long have you been adventuring for, lad?
A man to my left asks. About 3 years, give or take, I reply.
Oh, you've got to have some good stories,
The man says in excitement. I have a few, I say before taking a sip of my ale. The man lifts a brow and smiles.
Well, come out with it, man. Don't tell me you're all bum and parsley.
A smile creeps across my face. Okay, one time. As I begin my story, the tavern doors open. Being careful to not look directly at the entrance, I use my peripherals and recognize the figure. It's the constable, Roland McQuaid. Roland is a well-built man, standing just under 6 foot. He has short black hair and gray sides and a black goatee. He wears blaring white full-plate armor, and on his waist is a beautifully crafted longsword. On his back he wears a steel kite shield that holds the symbol of his god, Prod. The symbol is a golden sun made up of a single circle and 5 triangles orbiting it. Like most constables, the man is a paladin, a holy knight of sorts. It's said that the paladins are blessed and touched by their gods. I've heard many stories of these holy knights. It's said that they can destroy dozens of undead creatures with the wave of a hand. Some even say their swords possess the power to inflict deadly wounds on the wicked that can only be healed with the help of magic. With a skill set like that, being a city constable probably comes natural. Roland takes a seat 2 tables from me in the center of the room. A server comes up and offers him a drink. He waves his hand and shakes his head no.
Coffee, please.
It was faint, but I can barely make out his words. Between the music, chatter, and my own conversation, it makes things a bit difficult. And then the bandits pulled out their swords.
And what did you do then?
The man says in an excited tone. Maintaining this conversation might be taxing, but it's important. It took a great deal of time to learn this skill. Telling a story while listening to another person's conversation adds to the camouflage. As long as I keep talking, I'm not an adventurer or an assassin. I'm just part of the ambiance. The server returns to Roland with a hot cup of coffee. As he takes a sip, the front door opens again to reveal Monty. The young swordsman quickly makes the constable out from the crowd and walks to his table.
Ah, Monty, my man. It's good to see you.
The constable says while standing up, motioning for the swordsman to take a seat across from him.
You as well?
Monty replies. They both take their seats, and Roland begins to sip his coffee, careful to not burn his lips.
So, how can I be of service?
Monty says. The constable eyes him carefully, almost questioning his size. For a moment, Roland appears to question his capabilities.
I have a job for you.
Setting his coffee down, he reaches into his breastplate and reveals an envelope.
It's dangerous. Very.
He slides the envelope across the table and then taps on it several times with his index finger, placing emphasis on his next words.
Right here has the potential to change everything.
Monty's eyebrows lift in curiosity.
Really? Let's have a look.
Monty pulls the envelope in, opens it, and reads it carefully. His eyes grow wider and wider as he continues to read.
Are you sure?
The constable takes another sip and lets out a sigh of pleasure.
Yep. I'm assembling a task force. You'll be heading the mission with another.
Monty folds the paper and returns it to the envelope.
And this person, when will I meet them?
He slides the envelope back to Roland.
He should be here any minute.
The doors open again.
Speak of the devil,
Roland says.
No!
The man sitting next to me breaks into laughter.
That's one hell of a story. Hey, barkeep, his next round's on me.
The man shouts to a young man behind the bar. The barkeep smiles and nods in acknowledgement. Thanks. I tip my tricorn hat in gratitude. While I take a moment to finish off what's left in my stein, I look over to see who had just entered. It's a young man, roughly the same size as Roland. Judging by appearances, he's probably in his late 20s. He has slicked back black hair and dark brown eyes. His skin is pale, and on his forehead is a 3-inch horizontal scar. He wears a long black, unbuttoned coat with a plain white laced shirt. On his hands are leather gloves with iron studs on the knuckles and the fingertips cut off. It's not easy to see, but for a moment, each step reveals 2 billy clubs under his coat.
Sorry I'm late.
The man says to Monty and the constable. He pulls a chair out, turns it around, and sits with his arms resting on its back.
Nonsense. You're just on time.
Roland says with a pleasant smile on his face.
So, is he in?
The constable looks at Monty, waiting for him to give an answer. Crossing his arms, Monty sits back in his chair. It almost appears like he's calculating something. 5,000. The constable chokes on his coffee.
You want 5,000 gold?
I almost tripped up on the conversation I'm having. 5,000 gold was a massive number for anyone. Most people make 5 gold a week if they're successful. 5,000 gold is enough for an individual to retire to the mountains with a significant amount of land and property. Monty runs the calculations again, looking to the sky for the answer. Yes, consider it back pay for what I've already done. Out of the kindness of my heart, I have freely given of my own time. I've been responsible for the capture and jailing of many criminals. Considering this job will put an end to it all, I believe my price to be fair.
I agree with him. I won't be doing this job for anything less than 1,000.
The young man says while nodding his head. A wave of anxiety hits Roland. Putting his elbow on the table, he rests his forehead in his hand, contemplating the agreement. He winces at the thought.
You both run a hard bargain. I suppose I'll have to dip into my own personal account. It's a small price to pay for the security of this kingdom and the safety of its people.
Spoken like a true paladin. I've never met or seen one until now, but he sure seems to live up to the expectations. A white knight that embodies self-sacrifice, dedication, and a loyalty to the good of mankind. The young man shoots Monty a smile.
The name's Simon.
Monty, the swordsman replies with a grin of his own. The server approaches the table and gives the constable a polite smile. Would that be all for today, gentlemen? She says with a friendly tone.
I would like 1 more cup and 2 ales for my companions here, please.
The constable replies.
Right away. Would you like to open a tab or close out for the night?
The constable smiles, briefly looks at his 2 comrades, and then shakes his head no.
Yep. I'll go ahead and close out for the night, dear.
Reaching into his pouch on the back of his belt, a sudden look of concern encases his face.
Where'd it go?
That's my cue. Excuse me for a moment. I have a friend I need to visit with. I say to the man I've been talking to. He nods his head. Taking my drink, I approach the table. Miss, I'll go ahead and pay for them. It's on me tonight. She's caught off guard and looks at the table for confirmation. Her look is short-lived, though, as I pull out a gold coin and present it to her. Her eyes shoot up as the light reflects off the golden image of the king. Keep the change, I say while shooting her a wink. She blushes and holds her hand out to receive it. Placing it in her palm, I carefully close her hand.
Are you sure?
She replies. I politely nod my head with a gentle grin on my face. Absolutely. She pulls the coin into her chest, and a look of gratefulness breaks out across her face.
Thank you.
She says while holding back tears. As she walks away, I pull up a chair and take a seat. All three of them appear confused. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. To them, I appear to be no one special. I'm an averagely built man with short black hair and a clean-shaven face. I'm wearing a tricorn hat, green cloak, dark gray lace shirt, black pants, and soft leather boots. I have a knife on the left side of my belt and a short sword on the other. To them, I probably look like your average adventurer. Reaching into my pocket, I pull out the constable's money bag. It's a purple velvet sack with the symbol of the sun embroidered in gold on its side. Knocking his chair over, the constable draws his sword and points it toward me. The entire tavern goes silent. No more drinking, no more conversations. Only dozens of eyes blaring down on me.
Well, I'm not sure who you are, but you've got a lot of nerve stealing.
He cuts himself off as he sees me tapping down on the envelope several times. I hold my left index finger up to my lips, signaling for him to be quiet. He glares at me, not entirely sure what to make of the situation. Monty is also curious, sizing me up.
Let's see what the man has to say.
Monty says while giving Roland an easy signal with his right hand. It takes Roland a moment, but eventually he sheathes his sword and takes a seat with an eyebrow raised. The three men look at me, eagerly awaiting answers. I flash my eyebrows up and down, and then lift my finger in the air while curling in my upper lip. The constable recognizes the signal and slaps the table.
All right. Get back to your drinking,
Roland shouts. Right away, the tavern returns to its roar of conversations. Thank you, I say to the constable.
Don't thank me yet. You have some explaining to do.
I nod my head and slide the purple sack to the constable, returning it. I'm sorry for being so underhanded, but I thought it would be wise to audition before I apply. I say with a smile on my face. The constable gives a half snarl, grabs the sack and returns it to his larger pouch.
And what is it you believe you're applying for?
The server returns to the table with a cup of blistering hot coffee and 2 large ales. I hold my response, patiently awaiting for the waitress to leave.
All right. If there's anything else you'd like, please don't hesitate to call me over.
The woman says with a smile. The constable shoots her a subtle smile and raises his coffee mug and cheers.
Thank you, dear.
She returns the smile and leaves, walking to another table across the tavern. You're assembling a team, I say to Roland. The three of them look at each other in concern.
And I wonder who told you that. I'm sure someone with sticky fingers like yourself has some unique friends.
Simon says with a glare and raised eyebrow. That might be true, to some extent, I shrug. But I want the dojo gone just as much as you. They've infected this city with a plague of addiction. Even for a guy like me, it makes me sick. Monty looks at me with a slight glare. I can feel his eyes penetrating through my clothes and flesh. For a moment, I almost feel naked. No one has ever made me feel more uncomfortable. If not for my training, I'm sure he would have made me out from the moment I revealed the coin sack.
You're hard to read,
Monty says with a smirk creeping across his face that eventually turns into a full grin.
I like that. It could be useful.
Thanks, I reply with a subtle laugh. Returning my focus back to Roland, I pull out an envelope and place it on the table. Some friends of mine were able to get this. The three look down in curiosity. It's their headquarters. Tomorrow night, you'll find Mason and his lieutenants there.
Tch.
Simon crosses his arms and leans back.
And this is the part where you'll ask for something in return, right?
No, not really, I say while shaking my head. It's as the constable said. This kingdom needs saving. Silence hits the table like a ton of bricks. I shouldn't be surprised by this. I'm a nobody with far too much information. It's suspicious. But what thief isn't?
Okay,
Roland answers.
okay. We don't even know this guy.
Simon replies with slight irritation. The constable takes a sip of his coffee before responding.
It's obvious this man is a thief, and a skilled one at that. He went to great lengths to place himself in this position, which is suspicious indeed. Ultimately, what I care the most for, though, is results. The city is crumbling beneath our feet. If the dojo isn't taken down soon, our kingdom will suffer setbacks that will take generations to repair.
Agreed, Monty says with a subtle nod. Plus, sometimes it takes dirt to put out a fire. Ouch, I say with a subtle laugh while placing a hand over my heart. Hey, at least I'm honest. The swordsman says with a shrug and a laugh. Simon looks at the three of us, shakes his head, and places his hand to his forehead, gently rubbing his temples.
This job is already a headache.
Monty and I chuckle while the constable shrugs his shoulders and takes another sip. At that moment, the doors swing open. Out from the darkness of the night and into the dimly lit tavern, a beast of a man enters. He's a full-blooded orc with long black braids. His face is stern and chiseled with a symbol tattooed over his right eye. It's a symbol I don't recognize. On his waist he carries a short sword and hand axe. On his back is a huge adamantine tower shield. Everyone at the table is focused on their drinks, but I have the perfect seat to view this massive man. He radiates danger. Tipping my hat down to conceal my eyes, I take a long sip of my drink and watch him closely. As he approaches the bar, I notice something. Small, fresh spots of blood can be seen on the side of his neck. He's recently killed. Orcs are a rare sight in this city, especially full-blooded ones. What could he be doing here?
So, it's settled then. Monty, you'll be taking lead, and the three of you will end this tomorrow.
Monty and Simon raise a glass.
Yes, sir,
Simon replies. Leave it to us, Monty says. I stand up from my chair and finish my drink. Slamming it down, I let out a sigh of satisfaction. Well, gentlemen, the name is Desmond. It'll be a pleasure to work with you. I have something I need to attend to before the evening is over. I'll be seeing you tomorrow night. I suggest we meet at the Adventurers Guild before sunset. That is, if that's okay by you, Monty. Monty nods his head. That's good with me. I shoot the table a grin, tip my hat, and take my leave.